Good morning and welcome to Wholesome Roots. I was just about to head outside to do my chores when I said, oh, I better change the water out in my willow from Willow Creek Homestead. And I noticed, look at there. Can you see that? There we go. It's rooting already. And this is just my first water change out. I love how fast willow grows. So much fun. All right, I was just trying to get this in the sunlight of the window so you guys could see what's going on here. We have one that has died off on top and it doesn't appear to be rooting at all, but it still has some green left, so I'm going to leave that in there. And then these little ones are getting little tiny nubs of roots starting. And they're dropping their leaves off too. And that's totally normal when you're doing rootings of something. But those are some nice looking roots on these bigger ones. So I'm not gonna mess with the roots like I just did. But I'm going to dump this water out and refresh it with some fresh water to help these continue growing. I'm so excited, I can't wait. I love willow. Thank you, Trish and Jonah from Willow Creek Homestead. Go check out their channel. They're fantastic, and keep following us along for this collaboration that we're doing with them. And I've got to get to the post office so I can mail their seeds. Y'all, I heard a ruckus out here. These birds are going nuts. And I think that one of their chicks is fledging. Where did they go? I just saw one that looked a little smaller. There were three, I swear, not just mom and dad. And I think they're teaching one of them how to fly. Which scares me because our outdoor cat is quite the hunter or huntress. She will eat. I've been worried. She's gotten up on that shelf a couple of times messing with mom and dad. Where'd they go? I'll try to capture it again if I see them again, but I'm pretty sure I saw three, unless these birds have competition from another pair. I suppose that's possible. Weird. I just saw it. Excuse my messy porch. I don't see where it went. It was literally just hanging on the screen right there. And it didn't look like it was flying that great, so that's why I thought it was a fledgling. Maybe I was wrong. Let's see. Oh, yep, nest is empty. They are fledging. Oh, I hope they're gonna be okay. Oh, how exciting. Today is a very special day. Today is Rowan's 5th birthday, and he's up at the house with his big brother. And luckily Dalton's being nice and playing with him and being real sweet, as he usually is. And he's gonna watch them so that I can get all these chores done. I got a lot to get done because we're gonna meet Ryan in town. So he's not coming home after work. We're gonna meet him in town so that we can meet up with his parents and celebrate Rowan for a dinner with the family. So that means I've got to get all the chores done myself with no help. But I do have help because I have Dalton watching the kids. So that's a huge break. That makes a big difference. I can get a lot more done when they're not demanding lots and lots of attention like they normally do. Weeds are such survivors. We should take some lessons from weeds sometimes, shouldn't we? I don't see any ginger sprouting up yet. It'll take a while for that. But boy, when it does, it'll be nice. Everything else is looking fantastic. Got blooms on tomatoes. Gosh, this broccoli's looking amazing. I came out here the other day and I saw some holes. So I just ran my hands over the leaves. Oh, look. Yep. So we smush caterpillars when we see them. Catch them early and they won't get to cause that much damage. but I also run my hands over the leaves looking for caterpillar eggs. So this caterpillar damage is real noticeable. Oops, sorry, my milk bag just fell off my shoulder. Smush, smush, smush. They like the newer, more tender leaves, usually. So this is making it easy for me to find them because they are going after new growth. And I just recently came out here and did this the other day, where I just ran my hands along them, smushing any caterpillars I see on my broccoli. I think this was the plant that I did the other day. Maybe not, because there's a caterpillar. If it gets real bad and I can't keep up with it, like if I had way more than this, then I would use BT, which is a natural bacteria that only affects caterpillars, and it attacks them through their stomach. So they have to eat a leaf that's been treated with BT for it to work. And boy, there are a lot more today than there were the other day. So I'm glad I just checked that. For those of you that are squeamish and are getting grossed out by me squishing them with my hands, I've been doing this since I was a very little girl. It's one of my first jobs on the homestead growing up, was smushing bugs. My mom will smush. She has a lot of snails that come in her garden, and she'll smush them with her hands, and I've never been able to smush the snails with my hands. They gross me out with the crackling, crunching, but for some reason, squishing guts doesn't scare me. So, we're just maintaining this small cabbage patch, broccoli patch. They do affect cabbage too, so I will have to keep an eye on the cabbage as well. By hand, and my mom always said to leave the guts on the plant, because that tells all the other caterpillars or beetles, if it's beetles that you're smushing, the Japanese beetles especially is what we used to have to do on her raspberry plants. So she always said leave the guts on, because it tells all the other bugs not to mess with this garden, because you will be destroyed. So I'm damaging a little bit of the leaves, but that's okay. It's all in the name of protection, right? So that's it for a small patch like that. That's all the time it took. Those cabbage underneath those tomatoes, I don't see any holes in the leaves, knock on wood, at this moment. But what the likeliness of that is, because I planted that cabbage underneath tomatoes, when that insect flew overhead, when that moth came overhead. Now look at this. I was just gonna say, when that moth came overhead, it didn't see cabbage, it saw tomatoes. And look at the one spot where the tomatoes are open. I must have lost a tomato plant here. Oh, I have one miniature one. That must have been a tiny baby. Is where we have caterpillar damage on a cabbage. Isn't that funny? How correct was I? Those moths fly overhead looking for the plant that they host on, and they only go after the ones that they host on. They don't lay their eggs on other plants. They lay them on the ones that they know that their caterpillars can eat. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on these ones that are more exposed. Make sure, oh yeah, see, these are more exposed down here. I ran out of tomatoes down here. And look at how many more have damage from the caterpillars. And they like the center of the plant, which really don't want them doing that on my cabbage and broccoli, because that's where I want my fruit to develop. So that is my morning routine to maintain these plants. And golly, look at those beets just getting huge. There's some spinach down here that survived. I'm really glad that it did because it was really weak looking when I planted it. So I might have to harvest some of that for a nice spinach salad. Yum, or to put in a smoothie. The boys love green smoothies. All right, guys, I better get on, go milk those goats. Got some caterpillars smashed, so I feel successful already this morning. I'll get to you guys soon, I promise. And this celery, I need to figure out how to blanch the stems best. What is the easiest way to do that? I got too many plants in here to put a cardboard box around, as somebody suggested, which was a great idea. If I only had a dozen or so plants, that would be doable. But I don't know. I've never grown celery before, and I'm really impressed on how well it's growing. But I need to get the stems gathered up and tie them, I think, is what I've read. And then I've also read to cover them with mulch or soil. So if you know what does best here in the South, let me know. I'd love to hear your ideas. Well, it looks like I underestimated my alpines. I had to run out to the house to get another half-gallon jar because Kitty alone gave me a half-gallon of milk. Not having the kids on them is a bigger blessing than I realized. Not only am I not feeding two little buckling babies, but I'm also getting lots more milk. Oh, so cool. I'm excited. This is great. Now I'm gonna have to make more cheese though. I guess that's not a bad thing. All right, in order to have any elderberry wine or cordial or tincture this year, I'm gonna have to start harvesting them as they bloom. You see, I noticed some of these are already way too far past, so I missed out on those. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some of these before they get too far gone. And I can always put them in the freezer, right? So there's a lot of picking to do here. I'm gonna try to get a bag put together today. I've got to remove all the stems from the flowers. So I think that'll be enough to get something started, whether it's just a tincture for now until we get enough for wine. But it is humid out here. I got sweat rolling down my face. And I have two little plants I need to get planted into little pots. So I need to do that and get in and filter and chill my milk. So I need to move it. And then I gotta get ready for Rowan's birthday. All right, so I got some garden soil and I'm mixing that up with the soil that I made for the boysenberry root cuttings that I did the other day. Ugh, I'll tell you what, it's easier to mix things with your hands. And those root cuttings are doing great in that mix. But this stuff that I'm planting today is something that requires very moist soil. So I'm going to add more of that organic compost like I just did. And I'm going to put them in these pots inside of this container so that the water stays somewhat under them, because these things that I'm planting are water plants. Well, sort of. They're marginal plants. So they live in swampy, wet areas. For those of you that don't know already what this is jewelweed. It's a lovely native plant that helps if you come into contact with poison ivy. You can break the leaves off and rub it on your skin where the poison ivy got you, and it will prevent the poison ivy from creating a rash. So it is good to have on the homestead. And I think it's got other medicinal uses too, but that's the main one that I grew up with. And I grew up with this plant, and it gets big, like bigger than my waist high, if it's in the right conditions. And I grew up with this on my homestead at my mom's place. And my very first garden that I ever planted on my own was actually a wetland garden behind my mom's house in a creek that fed into the river. And I was very into native plants, still am, and growing wetland plants has always been a great fascination of mine. I used to have thousands of wetland plants, including carnivorous plants like pitcher plants and Venus flytraps. That time is no more. I do not have them anymore. This other plant is Equestrifolium, I think is the Latin name. Anyway, it's horsetail rush. It's also a native wetland plant. So I am going to get these two started. They will take over and be very prolific once they are started, but I'm going to get them a good start like this before I plant them. And I do want them to take over and be prolific. I think they're beautiful plants, and I want to have them along my pond. And y'all, I need to weed these before the pawpaws come in, because then the pawpaws will be overridden with weeds. We don't want that. Going after the big ones. This is my quick weeding. When I don't have time to weed, I gotta get in the house. But I just attack the tallest plants and pull them out. And then the next time I come out, I'll pull out the next tallest, and the next time, and the next time. So yeah, little at a time. It's the only way to get things done on this homestead. I don't know how y'all do it, but I've got lots going on. Oh no, what happened here? These moringa are just dead? Oh look, something chewed it off at the, something must have nibbled on the stem. Yep, right there's a nibble mark. Maybe a grasshopper or something. Bummer, that stinks. And they didn't all germinate either. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants out of all those seeds. I was hoping that some were still gonna come up, but doesn't look like it. I do have a bag of seeds left, so I should go ahead and plant them. And you see the boysenberry are doing well and everything. I think those are just past, gone to seed, and not gonna do us any good in the garden this year. Hopefully we have enough planted already. Well, I think that calls it a day, folks. I've got to get the chickens to take care of still. I need to just put this camera down and get to work and really get it all done fast. And then get ready, because we're gonna go meet up with Ryan's parents in town for a fun birthday time with Rowan. That'll be nice. I'm excited. He's excited. Y'all, he's so funny. Oof. So thank you for watching Wholesome Roots. And if you haven't already, please like, share, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time on Wholesome Roots.